Hey there, I'm Matt Clark and I'd like to welcome you to this course. So we're going to talk about the 5 steps to a $100,000 per month direct-to-consumer e-commerce business. Now, first I want to cover why e-commerce is the best type of business to build today out of any possible business you could build before we even get into this specific model. First, massive upside potential. You can easily build an e-commerce business to $1 million a year in revenue and value, $10 million a year, $100 million, and even $1 billion. E-commerce businesses have been built to that level of scale. Think of the massive ones like Dollar Shave Club, Harry's Razors, Purple Mattress, all these businesses. A lot of them started out online and they went way beyond that into the multi-billion dollar valuation. Now that may not be your goal, but I just want to show you that there's massive upside potential in e-commerce, more than almost any other kind of business out there. And on top of that, there's a relatively low startup cost. For a few $1,000s, maybe, up to $5,000 or so, you can launch almost any kind of e-commerce business you want to. Some people say you need 10 grand, 20 grand, 30 grand. I don't think so. That may be not the kind of product that you want to sell when you're first getting started. I recommend always to anybody starting a new business or even launching a new product within a business. My e-commerce business does over 27 million a year, and we still won't spend more than maybe 5 grand or so to test out a new product. I recommend you don't do the same when you launch your first product also, or when you launch your next product following this model. You can keep your startup costs low, and that reduces your risk and allows you to have more chances to succeed. Also, low overcost to operate. Obviously, you don't need an office. You don't even need a warehouse. You can outsource all that to somebody else. You don't need hardly any expenses. It's very lean to be able to run this type of business, which allows you to have a nice profit. And fourth, you get to sell real products that people want now. This is stuff people are actually looking to buy. You're just fulfilling a need that's out there and will still want these in 10 years. Some other businesses that are based on, super cutting edge technology, they sound cool and exciting, but what happens if all that changes a year from now, 2 years from now, and all of a sudden your business is worth nothing? Right now with this kind of business, you're selling real products people want and need, and are going to still want and need probably 10 plus years from now. Maybe a few details will change, but you can build a nice, consistent business, which allows you to build a business with cash flow that can last for years and even decades, and build the kind of business that can be sold for real money, because nobody's going to turn around and buy your business a few years from now for millions of dollars if they think that it's going to be obsolete a few years after that. So that's another huge advantage of e-commerce. Now in this course, you're going to learn how to build a new type of e-commerce business that goes beyond anything you've probably heard or learned so far. Now, a little bit about my story so you know where I'm coming from. I've been doing e-commerce since 2009. It was actually my first business straight out of college. I jumped into e-commerce, started selling high-end health supplements, did drop shipping, did wholesaling, sold other people's brands, mainly sold on my own website when I was first starting out. Then in 2012, I started teaching Amazon because after a few years, once I was getting started, Amazon was blowing up. I was one of the people who really figured out marketing on Amazon early. So I had this unique expertise nobody else really had, could rank products, market products, pioneered a lot of that kind of stuff, specifically on Amazon. So in 2012, started teaching it to other people, ended up creating Amazing Selling Machine, which to my knowledge is probably the most successful business education program, especially in e-commerce, that's ever existed. Whether you look at number of people that join, the amount of success those members have, which is really how we've gauged our success. So we've done very well with that, created Amazing.com. And we estimate our students have done over $10 billion in sales with that program alone. Then times started changing. So fast forward, 5, 6, 7 years, we're teaching this stuff, Amazon's growing, but things started to change. Lots of Chinese sellers started flooding into Amazon. Amazon was actively recruiting them. And on top of that, ad costs increased dramatically on Amazon, but that's not even the big thing. There's, some of those challenges with Amazon, which Amazon's still a good place to sell, but they started opening up these massive opportunities outside of Amazon, which is what we're here to talk about in this free course. So nowadays, infomercials have existed forever. Nowadays, you can use that same psychology and same style of marketing with your own e-commerce store and these massive social media platforms. You combine these two, you can build a huge business just like we have in just a matter of months. It's absolutely incredible, and that's what this opportunity is all about. So started scaling this new e-commerce business, got back in the game of doing e-commerce because I was in e-commerce full-time, then I taught e-commerce for a long time, and then now I got back into e-commerce, building my own brands, starting around 2019, was able to scale a brand, which I'm sure you saw in some videos, from basically $17,000 a month when I joined, all the way up to over $2.5, $2.6, $2.7 million just a few years later, because of what you're gonna learn in this free course. And so we've still growing this brand. It's doing over 27 million a year. It's great. And now I'm here to show you exactly what we've done so you can build your businesses following the same exact model. In 2020, we were number 271 on the Inc. 500 list of Inc. magazine's fastest growing companies in America. In 2021, we were number 80, so top 100, actually the number one product in its category, the fastest growing companies in America, according to Inc. magazine. And then just recently, which is what this picture is from, it's not super high quality, but it's the best option that I had. We actually got the fastest growing business in Indiana, which is where my business partner is based out of. So that's where the company's based out of. So we got the number one fastest growing company in Indiana, according to the Indiana Business Journal. So now, the power of the direct-to-consumer, or DTC, or D2C business model, which is what we're going to be talking about in this course. First, you don't have to fight for the same customers on the same platform for the same keywords like everyone else is doing on Amazon and Walmart.com and all of that. You get to control the relationship with your customers. When you sell on a big platform, there's some advantages. There's some automation, they take care of some of these things for you, but they really try to separate the brands from the customers. They want to be in the middle of that because they want to own the relationship with all the customers. In this model, you get to communicate directly with the customers. You can get them on a massive email list, you can get them on a text message list, and you can communicate with them anytime you want. The power of that is it makes it so much easier to make more money, because every time you have a new product or a promotion, send an email or send a text to thousands or tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of customers that know who you are, and you can message anytime you want. Then all of a sudden, you start printing more money. So build a massive email list like I talked about. Ours is in the hundreds of thousands. You don't have to pay Amazon 15% of sales because you keep every dollar that you make on your store because there's no middleman. Obviously, you have to pay some money to credit card processors and whatnot, but that's just part of anyone's business. And you get to build a business that's 2 to 3 times more valuable. I've talked with a lot of brokers that are out there selling e-commerce businesses all day long. And if you have a business that's 100% dependent on a platform such as Amazon or Walmart.com or something else versus a business that sells directly to consumers, meaning you're selling on your own store, typically using Shopify, and you have those direct relationships, that type of business is worth 2 to 3 times more because people know it's less risky. Because Amazon can potentially shut down your account, your keyword rankings can drop, all that kind of stuff. But if you have this business with brand recognition, with existing traffic, with an email list, with a text message list, with a social media following, that kind of business is more stable and potentially more scalable. So the business itself, if you were to go and sell it, worth 2 to 3 times more. And you don't have to worry about Amazon compliance or competitor black hat tactics. Every Amazon seller on the planet has a story about competitors bashing the reviews. We deal with it ourselves because Amazon is still a great place to sell. I just think there's a huge opportunity outside of there. We still produce 10 to 15% of our sales on Amazon with this brand because it's great. You know, people get free 2-day shipping, and there's a lot of good reasons to be over there, but we produce the majority of sales on our own store. On Amazon, though, you have to worry about competitors writing negative reviews, voting up reviews, and all those sort of things that you don't have to worry about when you control the platform on your own website. And 7th, it can be more profitable because you can add upsells, you can add cross sales, you can add recurring revenue, all stuff we're going to get into later in this course. So here are the 5 steps we're going to cover. First, you got to pick the right product to sell. Whether you already have a brand or you're starting something from scratch, you need to know what's going to make something work in a direct-to-consumer business, which is different than selling on Amazon where you're just targeting keywords. Second, you got to find a high-quality supplier for that product and do it in a way where you don't have to spend a fortune in 6 months to 12 months just trying to get a new product live because you're creating something from scratch. You don't need to do all that. The goal is to get started fast, to have a high-margin product that you can start selling and testing immediately. Third, landing page secrets. I'll give you a little tip right now. Your store, your actual Shopify store, doesn't really matter. What really matters is your landing page and your funnel where you send people who have never heard of you from before to buy your first product. That's what matters more than anything. And we're going to cover that in step 3. In step number 4, you're going to learn the direct-to-consumer marketing system, how to look at things like average order value, lifetime value, customer acquisition cost, how all those things work together and how they allow you to scale. And then last but not least, step number 5, you're going to learn how to scale to $100,000 per month and beyond with this exact business model. So what I want you to do now is jump into the next lesson, which is going to be step number 1. Watch each video, and this platform on Kajabi has a little feature that allows you to mark it as complete. Do that after each video so I can monitor your progress, see how things are going. And with that said, let's get started and jump into lesson and step number 1.